almost a week ago, I finished my last ever medical school exam of my last ever clinical rotation. I cannot tell you how over the moon, ecstatic, filled with jubilation I am to finally say that I am on my way to finishing medical school. It is nuts. What's up, you guys? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Tori. I am a fourth year medical student. In today's video, I just want to talk about something that's very near and dear to my heart, which is my story. Now that we are reaching the end, I feel that it is the best time to talk about the beginning and how I got here, why I got here, and yeah, let's get into it. So I won't be sharing my whole story, but I do want to share my story beginning from when I decided to pursue medicine all the way up until I got into medical school. In doing so, I will break this into 5 parts, starting from when I decided to switch, what school I switched to, and what I was doing there, then all the gap years I took trying to get into medical school. It's going to be long, but not too long, so I really hope you enjoy it and I hope it's helpful. Let's get started. Chapter 1, the switch up. I was not one of those people who came out of the womb thinking that they were going to be a doctor. Like, that was not me. I, for the longest part, when I was a kid, thought that one day I would be the 4th member of Destiny's Child. That did not come to fruition. At one point, I thought I was going to be Samantha Brown and travel the world while simultaneously releasing my own line of luggage. Obviously, did not happen. And then there was a stint there where I thought I would work for ESPN as a journalist, but that also did not pan out for a lot of different reasons. Medicine was not at the top of my list growing up. It was something that I definitely had to come to later in life, and I'm pretty glad that I did. When I was in high school, I was a student athlete. I played volleyball. At the time, I was also super interested in psychology and journalism. Really loved AP Psych, and I was on the journalism team, and I really loved that experience as well. So in 2011, after I graduated from high school, I followed a volleyball scholarship up to Baltimore, Maryland, where I would stay for 2 years. I was still very interested in psych, but also still very interested in journalism. And I switched my majors back and forth between the two. Really thought I was going to either become a psychologist or a sports journalist working for ESPN. Now, my decision to switch into medicine in those 2 years, it was a combination of a lot of different things. A life event did happen, which made me realize that there are disparities. There are big health disparities. And there were things happening with my own health. I had 2 concussions. Almost like back to back, it felt like. And I spent a lot of time in our athletic trainer's office, just kind of being in that office and seeing the different things that they did every day, just really inspired me. And I just really loved my science classes back in high school, and I love people. And so there's just a lot of things happening at once that made me realize that I wanted to pursue a career in medicine. While I was up in Baltimore, Maryland, and I had made this decision, I was simultaneously also making the decision to stop playing volleyball. There are tons of people out there who become doctors who were able to be pre-med and play sports at the same time. And it's not that I couldn't, I just didn't want to. I knew that my time in volleyball was coming to its end. That season of my life, that chapter was closing. I was okay with that, 100% okay with letting that go, even though I loved my teammates and I really sometimes enjoy being a student athlete, sometimes I did not. I knew that it was time to move on and time to let it go. They all came to the conclusion that if I want to do medicine, I need to do it. I just need to do it. So at the school that I was at, I had to change my major over to biology because that school didn't have a pre-med track. So if you wanted to pursue medicine, you had to be some kind of science major. So I ended up switching to biology and then eventually made the decision to transfer to a different school just for more opportunities and to be closer to home, and because I was giving up my volleyball scholarship. So there really wasn't a reason for me to stay at that particular school. Had to switch up locations because my handy dandy mic died. Okay, this thing keeps dying on me and I lost all the audio, and The sun is going down over yonder, so I also lost the light. But that's okay. Chapter 2, the struggle. It is the summer of 2013, and I had decided to transfer down to the University of Georgia in Athens. So get down there, and I'm not gonna lie to you, your girl was doing well that first summer. I was doing well. I was taking political science and some other like policy class, like classes that you had to take just to like graduate. They weren't anything related to like science or my major or anything. I was getting good grades. Now, before I continue on with this season of my life, I think it's important to throw out this disclaimer. I was not a studier. I did not know how to study because I had never studied. In high school, I took all AP and honors courses and I never studied, and I got really good grades. In my first 2 years of college, I never studied. And with the exception of one class, I was getting really good grades. That one class, man, that was like the start of it all. I just didn't even catch it. So like I came into UGA with this inability to study, okay? And when I tell you, I was not riding the struggle bus, I was driving it. I was getting gobsmacked. I was getting WWE thrown down, like killed in the ring. I was struggling. That fall of 2013, it was rough. I was taking gen chem, physics, biology. The girl didn't know what to do. I mean, every test was coming back like a C, a D, or an F. What am I doing? Like, what is happening? How do I overcome? It was also just like a really big transition for me. Like I went from a smaller university where I'd have like 30 people in a class, and I knew my professors really well, to now I'm in a stadium-sized classroom with like 300 other people. My teachers could care less about me, and I don't really know how to even go about getting to know them. I mean, I knew about office hours, but like I didn't really know how to like navigate being on such a large campus and like being around so many other people. Like I just didn't know what to do, and I suffered. Academically, my GPA was like falling. I had left my first school with like a 3.8, and it just every semester just like precipitously dropped. And I had to take a lot of classes over. I think I took like Gen Chem like twice. I took Physics 1 twice, Gen Chem 2 twice as well. And I took OChem 1 obviously more than once. That class is a monster and I hated it. But yeah, so academically, I really struggled to get my bearing when I started pre-med life at UGA. It was disappointing. To combat the disappointment and the failures, I went out and did extracurriculars that I wanted to do. None of the extracurriculars that I did in medical or in undergrad were medically related. That was because one, I didn't know that I had to be out here doing medically related things, or that it was like a whole thing. I didn't know what it really meant to be pre-med outside of like taking the pre-med courses. Two, I just really wanted to do things that I wanted to do that would bring me joy, so I could like keep my sanity throughout undergrad, okay? I like joined the rowing team, and I was involved in something called leadership. I worked at the YMCA with the kids, and I coached volleyball, and I tutored first graders, worked in a women's shelter. Like I was doing a lot of other things that personally brought me joy, but were not necessarily medically related. I did do some shadowing, and I did do some time volunteering in a hospital, but I like never count that, and here's why. At the time, 2014, 2015, I think, there was like one hospital that allowed students to come in and like shadow and stuff, but it was like so hard to get your name on that list. I eventually did, and I got like the 8 to 11 shift on the neurology unit. And when I tell you, every time I showed up, I never had a preceptor. I never knew what I was supposed to be doing. It was just like a free-for-all, like truly was always a waste of my little 3 hours once a week. Not productive. So I don't even, in my mind, I mentally just forget that I even did that. Another thing that I didn't really do was research. Now, you don't need research to get into medical school, but it is helpful, okay? And depending on what medical school you want to go to, it can be very helpful. I remember sending so many emails to TAs, professors, every time a posting came out. I was submitting my CV, all this stuff, and I either never heard back or I was just like, no, I was told a no. And so like, I just did not end up doing research. Yeah, here we are at UGA. I am struggling academically. I don't have research, but I'm doing a lot of other fun, cool stuff that I personally enjoyed, but it just was not medically related. So I'm coming up on my senior year. I, find out about the MCAT. And, at this point, I knew I wasn't gonna go directly into medical school. I knew that that was not feasible or even the right thing to do with what I had going on. But I knew I needed to take the MCAT, and I knew I needed to take it that summer. I go to my advisor and I'm like, hey, I'm still interested in medical school. What can I do to help me get there? Like, I know it's not gonna happen now, but like, what can I do? And my advisor looked me dead in my face and said,
Tori, you have a 3.2 GPA. You do not have the grades to go to medical school. You need to think about other things.
And when I tell y'all, that silence that followed was so loud. I was like, thank you for your time. I will talk to you never, okay? See ya. And what that man didn't know is that at the time, I didn't have a chip on my shoulder. I had a boulder on my shoulder. Someone telling me I can't do something was like the greatest motivation for me. At the time, if somebody was like, you can't, I was like, I must. It took me a while. It took me a while to prove him wrong. But anyways, I knew that I wasn't gonna get help from him, and I knew that I was a lost puppy out here and I didn't know what to do. I was like, let me just graduate. Let me just get on up out of here. I ended up graduating May 2016. And then shortly after graduation, I stayed behind in Athens to take the MCAT. Let me put this out there. Remember how I said I am not a studier? I was not a studier. Do you think I studied for the MCAT? You're right, I did not, okay? And I played myself. That was money wasted, okay? I ended up making somewhere in the 50th percentile. Now, before I go on, I just wanna say that 50th percentile for the MCAT is not bad. You can still apply to med school. You can still get into med school with a 50th percentile. But here's the issue. If you score in the 50th percentile, you need a good application. You need strong letters of recommendation, research, you need volunteer experience, you need an application where you're selling yourself and you're selling yourself well. Did I have any of those things? No, I did not. A 50th percentile for me was no bueno. It was no good. I got my little MCAT score, and for some odd reason in my brain, even though I knew I had no business applying to medical school, I applied to medical school, okay? I went back, I like cold emailed professors who I had never spoken to. I was like, I took your class, can you write me a letter? They probably wrote me the most jankiest letters. I just had a really bad application because I didn't know how to put together that kind of application. I just wanna say, like, putting together a good application for medical school and even for residency is a skill, and I did not have that skill. I had not learned that skill yet. I applied to like 20 programs. When your girl hit submit, I swear same day I got all my rejections. Submit, no, all at once. That's how it felt anyway. That's okay. I knew it was gonna happen. Something deep in my heart told me that I had no business applying, but I still did it anyway. Back to the summer of 2016, taking my MCAT, applied to medical school, even though I had no business doing that. And also, I decided to get a job. My school at the time had a website where employers can go and post job listings because they want to hire people right out of college. And I saw a job listing for a medical assistant position in a dermatology office in Atlanta, and I was like, perfect, let me apply. Chapter 3 working girl. It is the fall of 2016 and I am working as a medical assistant in a dermatology office. I'm getting on the job training. I am learning. I am doing so many things. I loved it, to be quite honest with you. I loved it for a number of reasons. One, I really loved my coworkers. I can say that every job I've had, I've always met really incredible people who like crack me up, who inspire me, who we just be getting along. This job was no exception. But two, it was the first time I had a real like patient care experience. It's different to say like, I want to go to medical school and I don't even know how to take care of somebody. Like I've never even, really had that experience before, versus I'm having this experience. I'm learning how to talk to patients. I'm learning how to deal with them in a healthcare setting. And I'm learning how to work with a healthcare team. And I still want to go do medicine. Now I'm even more, like passionate about pursuing that. And it just taught me so much. And also I was getting paid more than $7 an hour. So I still was like saving up money to spend that money almost immediately. But yeah, I was like making my own money. I was doing a job where I was learning a lot. And it was just like a really positive experience for me. I was talking to one of the doctors that I worked with a lot, and I told her about my failed attempt at getting into medical school. And she was like, have you ever heard of a post-bac program? And she basically just broke it down and was like, these are programs that can help you eventually get into medical school. Some of them are even feeder programs right into their medical schools. I went home immediately after work. I found that the AAMC has a really cool website that you can just filter all of the different post-bac programs that are offered and find one that really fits your needs. I knew that this was something that I was probably gonna have to do because my application was lacking in a lot of different areas. It needed a whole makeover. I was looking for a program that was going to be 1 year. I wanted a master's degree out of it. I wanted to be taking classes with medical students just so I can have that comparison to see like, is this something that I can really do? I wanted research because I didn't have it and I just wanted it, okay? I wanted it. I wanted something that would build in MCAT prep time because I knew I had to retake my MCAT. I wanted a small class size. I just wanted a new experience. I ended up applying to Mercer University, the Medical University of South Carolina, and lo and behold, Brown University. I chuckle at that because remember, I was graduating from UGA with a 3.2 GPA, okay? And so I struggled through undergrad, and never in my wildest dreams would I thought like I would ever go off to be at an Ivy League school. Even if it's a post-bac program, I didn't think I would even get in. But like Harry Potter in the Goblet of Fire, I just had to throw my name in the hat. Even though he didn't throw his name in the hat, somebody put his name in the hat. I had to throw my name in the hat even though I was unqualified. So I applied to those 3 programs. I continued my job as a medical assistant. Speed up to like spring of 2017. Remember, I had graduated, but I hadn't taken OChem 2, and I really needed to take OChem 2. Again, I had applied the first time without even taking OChem 2. Like, that's a requirement, Tori. What were you thinking? I needed to take that, and I needed to go part-time, but unfortunately, I couldn't stay in that job part-time, so I got let go. Ooh. But that's okay. Thanks to a really amazing family friend and God for aligning things for me, I was able to get a job as a phlebotomist and do that part-time while I took OChem 2. During that time, I loved my phlebotomy job. One, because it is like a skill. It's a skill that I'll always have. I did kids, I did adults, I did seniors, like E for everybody. It also allowed me to just be a little bit more autonomous than I was as a medical assistant. Granted, I'm not making any life-saving decisions out here, right? But sometimes when you're working in a doctor's office as the phlebotomist or in a care center by yourself or jaw center, you're kind of relying on yourself to be able to do your job. You may not have help. It's taught me to have confidence in my own abilities and to really try really hard to be good at it so I didn't have to call for help all the time. Did I have to call for help sometime? Yes, I did. I think I just grew in that way, and it was a really Great experience for me. I had really amazing coworkers as well. Some really like funny times working as a phlebotomist. Remember, I put in my application for the post-bac program, and it is 2017, the spring of, and I heard back from all three of them, and I got accepted into all three. I ended up choosing Brown, which was the best choice for me at the time. So happy that I did it. It financially wrecked me. I ended up choosing Brown for a multitude of reasons. It was brand new, it had the smallest class size, and I was like, when am I ever gonna get this opportunity to go Ivy League? A girl who's told that she's not even smart enough to be here is going Ivy League. And so I did it. Chapter 4, Diamond in the Rough. It is now spring 2017. I am working as a phlebotomist. I had just got accepted to all these different post-bacs, and I decided to go to Brown. That summer, I also made the decision to apply to medical school again. Even though I hadn't even really started at Brown yet, I hadn't changed much about my application, even though I had little 2 jobs there. Nothing had really changed about my app, and I was like, let me try again. Foolish me. Immediately got rejected, just fine, because I low-key knew it was gonna happen. Then I started my year at Brown. Not only did I meet really phenomenal people, like my classmates are people who inspired me. Even though we were either, there because we had struggled through undergrad, or there because we just wanted to shape our applications up a little bit better. People were from such different backgrounds, and everyone had such different passions, and it was just cool to be around people who were just so unlike me. I had one friend who's like so civically engaged, and I learned so much from her about like advocacy, and like it was just a very beautiful learning opportunity for me. And the faculty at Brown, I literally can't speak highly of them enough, because they saw so much potential in me and really helped me, and they held my hand to get me across the finish line, and they saw so much in me, and they really helped me get here. So like, I genuinely don't think I would even be in medical school if it were not for the amazing women at Brown University who guided me and loved on me and gave me the TLC I needed. So while I was at Brown, I was making really great grades on all the exams that we were taking with the med students. We had done some research. I retook my MCAT and scored like 11 points higher. We did a lot, actually. We got to present that research. It was just like, I got the mentorship that I needed, and I was able to get help with my application. One of the faculty members who ran the whole program sat down with all of us, went through our personal statements, went through our apps, and just helped us really craft applications that sold us best. That's why I say that learning how to do one of these kinds of applications is a skill. Some of us just need a little bit more help, and I got the help that I needed. I graduated from Brown in May of 2018. I also submitted another round of applications for medical school. I felt so much better about it. I felt like maybe this time it will really happen. Chapter 5, In God's Timing. I like to think that my timeline and my plan is how things are really gonna pop off in real life, but they don't ever happen that way. Now that it's 2024 and I've had some lived experiences, I feel like everything happens in God's own timing. When I had graduated from Brown, I had resubmitted my applications, but a part of me still felt like, let me just prepare myself in case I don't get into medical school again. My sister had just moved to Hawaii, and she was like, come live with me. I would have been a straight fool to say no. I moved out to Hawaii. Didn't enjoy it as much as I should have. I was stressed because I didn't think that I was going to get into medical school. I really wish that I would have like taken the time to just kind of smell the roses and just enjoy where I was. I mean, I still had a good time, but I was out there looking for a job. Funny enough, I would go down to Waikiki and play like beach volleyball sometimes. And the guy that ran it, I remember the first time I met him, and he was like, what are you doing? Why are you looking for a job? Like, you're in Hawaii, chill. Maybe I should, I don't know. Lo and behold, I started getting interviews. It was nuts. I had to leave Hawaii because your girl couldn't afford to keep flying back and forth from the mainland to the island. I couldn't do it. So I ended up moving back home to Atlanta, and I'm going on these interviews. I get to my UF interview, which is the school that I am at now, in October, and absolutely loved it, and was like, if I get in here, I'm going here no matter what. And 2 weeks later, I got my acceptance and I pulled my application. Would not advise doing that for everyone else. I think that I am an incredibly impulsive individual. I had my heart set on something, so I did it, but I would tell others to get more interviews and then weigh your options and then make a decision like an adult. I started here in the summer of 2019. I made it to med school, okay? Through all the hurdles and obstacles, I eventually made it here. I didn't share my whole story. There were things that I left out, but I tried to hit all the high parts. And I thought they were most important because I just wanted to show that, like, even though my journey has been riddled with imperfections, it was never impossible to reach my goal. I had obstacles. I had to overcome things, and I had to really lean on God, lean on my faith, lean on my family and my support system. I just want people to know that getting to medical school, you don't have to be you don't have to be perfection. You need to be resilient and you need to be prepared. To all of you out there who may be struggling to get into medical school and you're applying more than once, the biggest thing I can tell you is make improvements. Keep applying if this is what you really want to do, but make improvements. That's what people want to see, is that you're changing and you're growing and you're looking and analyzing yourself and saying, what is something that I can do better here? And you're doing it. It shows a lot of perseverance, and it shows that you actually are like taking the time to be like self-analytical. And that was like one of the biggest takeaways I had going on interviews the third time around. Yeah, I just wanted to share my story because I think it can give a little bit more insight as to who I am and where some of my advice is coming from. I hope that was helpful. If it was, make sure to leave a thumbs up and subscribe. I really appreciate y'all's support on my last video. Did not even think it would get like 5 views, so that just like warms my heart to see that people are watching it, and I hope that people are taking something positive away from it. If you want to see me talk about a certain topic or you have questions, leave that in the comment section and we can do that, okay? We can set that up. We can get that ball rolling, all right? I will see you around here on this channel sometime, somewhere, someday. Bye.